All right, so here we are on to level 3 for the first skill of Unit 8, page 56. We've talked about square roots. We've talked about how to reduce the square roots if you can't actually figure out the square root. And now we're going to talk about larger scale problems where we actually are adding and subtracting them and then how we can go about doing that. And if you remember how to combine like terms, this is essentially the same thing. We're even calling, instead of like terms, we're calling them like radicals. And all that means is that the number inside the radical has to be the same. So for example, the square root of 3 and 5 square root of 3. Those are considered like radicals. However, 2 root 5 and then 2 root 7, these are not like radicals. Okay? It'd be, this is kind of like if I had a 1x and a 5x. 1x and a 5x over here. And here I would have like a 2x and a 2y. Okay? So these are not like radicals if the radical is different. Okay? These are like radicals because the square root of 2 is the same for both. Okay? And so now what happens is you can add and subtract these. So for example, if there's no number in front, by the way, consider that a 1. If you were to add these together, okay, so let's say you added them, you would just add the numbers in front, just like you would here. 1 plus 5 is 6, so you'd have a total of 6 square root of 3. Okay? Now, if we were to subtract these, you would do 1 minus 5, and you would get negative 4 root 3. Okay? The radical doesn't change when you add or subtract. Just like up here, if you were to add 1x and 5x, that's 6x. Right? It's the same exact thing here. Okay? Same thing with this one, 7 root 2 and 3 root 2. If you add them together, you just get 10 root 2. And if you subtract, 7 minus 3 is 4, so 4 root 2. Okay, and that's essentially how you add and subtract. Okay, now you might see radicals, like so for example, we can do number 1 right now. How do I know? Well, I see root 10 and root 10, so I can just go ahead and combine the numbers in the front. So 2 plus 5 is 7, and I'm done. 7 root 10. Pretty easy. Okay. Now the rest of them, you'll see, oh, these are all different. How am I supposed to combine these, right? So let's look at this example. These may look like they're unlike radicals, but really we don't know for sure because we always want to reduce first. So for example, 3 and the square root of 5, that's good. The square root of 5 doesn't break down, but the root of 45, okay, if we do it with the second method, we know that that's 9 times 5. 9 is 3 times 3. And so I know that 1, 2, there's a pair of 3's right there. I know that root 45 is exactly 3 root 5. And so as a matter of fact, these are like radicals. Okay? Because root 5 is the radicand. Okay? And so that's essentially what you're going to do. So I'll do one more problem here. Let's see. Yeah, let me do number 5. Okay. So 5 on page 57. All right, so these all look different, but let's break them down. All right, so we got 30. I don't think there's any number, a square number anyway, that goes into 30. We got 1, but that doesn't do anything. 4 does not go into 30. 9 does not go into 30. 16 does not go into 30. 25, and obviously that's not going to work either. So this is reduced already. Okay? 2 root 6 is reduced already. 120 though, let's see. 1 does not help us. 4 does go into 120. 9 does not. 6, sorry, that's not a square. Where was I? 16. 16, I don't think does either. 25 does not. 36, I don't think does. Let's see. I think 4 might be the winner, but this is a larger number, so it might not be a bad idea to do the second method here as well. 120. So let's just split it up. I know that that's 4 times 30, right? I know 4 is 2 times 2. I know 30 is 2 times 15. And I know 15 is 3 times 5. Here is a pair of 2's. And so for every pair, bring 1 out. And then there's no more pairs left, so multiply these back out. 2 times 3 times 5, that's going to be 30. Oh, made a little mistake here. This is a minus sign, so that should be a minus in between. Sorry about that. Okay. And that's it. So we got square root of 30, and we got minus 2 square root of 30. So you can combine those because these are like radicals. Remember that this is a 1. So if you do 1 minus 2, you get negative 1 square root of 30 plus 2 root 6. Or you can just drop the 1 and do minus the square root of 30 plus 2 root 6. Okay? And so that's essentially how these work. You want to break down the radicals and then go from there. Okay? All right. That's it for now. See you next time.